Oh my god, guys, I know I've been not doing many English videos lately, and this is a gift for me and you as well. And I decided now I want to talk what I want to talk. And especially, no, not like that, but I can share the things I want to share. And you can ask all sorts of questions if you like on this live stream. But I want to talk about artificial intelligence. I want to share my discoveries and understandings about it, especially with TensorFlow or neural networks, the modern age or the modern time AI technologies that are available right now, and how can they affect and change the way we live in the future. Now, myself, I'm programming, let's say for the last 10 or 12 years, well, not so intensely, but I have the point of view from a programming experience, not from the like reading books and everything. And also in a sense about the channeling and meditation perspectives, like channeling the information from Enrico and etc. So it's like a combination of things around. So the first of all, I want to explain how do neural networks or the popular neural networks or the most common neural networks work. And to give you an example what it actually is, it's developed from the way our brain works. It was a technology that was invented in, I think, in 1980s, let's say like more than 30 years ago, or something around. It's not my invention, it's somebody else's, so I'm just sharing my perspective and my opinion about it. So, and the thing is, the scientists who invented this, let's say, algorithm were inspiring from the actual neurons in our brain, how the actual neurons work in our brain. And they developed an algorithm that can only be illustrated, but actually it's really complex to even understand how it actually works. Just to keep you a little simple of briefing how it works from your perspective. Imagine you are playing a tic-tac-toe, which basically is 3 by 3 rows. Rows and columns, 3 columns, 3 rows. It's like nine positions and 2 possible these X and 0 figures that can you place on this 3 times 3 row. So in overall, the combinations are 3 times 3 times 3 means 27 combinations, well, something approximately. But when you look at a game, you see there is at the beginning there are no moves made. The table is empty. But when somebody makes a move, you start calculating it. He made a move there, and you start calculating if I make here, if I make here, if I make here. So you're doing the brain is actually doing some kind of calculations. So how does the neurons work? You have like 9 possible inputs, like 3 possible inputs means here, no, these 9, 3 times 3 equals 9 inputs. You have these 9 inputs. And if on a 1 input there is, let's say, I don't know, like X, just to give you a simple example, then one of this input is, from all those 9, is 1. If somewhere is a 0, then you can place it, let's say, -1 or maybe 2 or 0.5, it doesn't matter, but some other digit, maybe a negative digit would be better. And then you ask this neural network that you want to have a positive outcome. You want to have a positive outcome, and it can check the situations. And then what happens is the neural network checks each of the single 3 by 3 rows. Each row checks with each 9 rows, and then the next row is being checked with each by the 9 other rows, and then the next row is being checked by each of the other, in this case 8 rows, and then all by means all those rows, and then it makes the conclusion by putting it here you have a more higher chance of winning than by putting it somewhere else, and it gives you an output also with 9 outputs, which suggests you put, let's say, a 0 in position 9. It will be in the last corner, last right bottom corner. Put an X there. And what is actually happening in such neural networks is that this field is connected with 8 other of these tic-tac-toe fields. And the other field is connected with each other of the fields. So it's actually 9 squares. That means 9 times 9, 81 combinations that you can play out on the next move, and etc., etc., etc. So this is just a simple example. Giving you a larger example would be the same, but basically like a television screen or like a 4K camera. It has like 4,000 times maybe 2,400 pixels, and there are much more neurons actually that you can compare with each other pixel. Compare it. Now this is just a simple overview. It's not exactly how it works, just to give you a simple-minded people a little understanding. But what it happens actually, eventually, the system learns, and it can study that in a given this specific pattern that is right now, let's say tic-tac-toe, or for example, a 4K camera is filming a direct road, the neural network has, let's say, hundreds and maybe thousands of outputs that it can specify with probability that most likely this is a road, because the pattern goes to front like a little bit like this. There are white lines at the edges, and maybe it's a little bit straight, maybe not, maybe it's in color of gray or black, doesn't matter. From all those parameters, comparing trillions of neurons with each other, they come out with a conclusion that most likely we are driving on a road. And these patterns are lowered in and understood by these neurons. Now, how does this work? Is, for example, if this one pixel in tic-tac-toe, the main figures are the corners and the centers. If this one pixel in the center is most important, and this pixel is being compared with most closest and also important pixels, giving you like let's say 3 by 3 most important pixels that can give out a pattern. And so the center pixel is connected with its closest neighbors that can help him to identify whether we are in a winning pattern or we are not in a winning pattern. Let's say the sides and tops and on the corners, they can identify this. The rest others are not important. So basically, when we are looking at a road, there is some kind of a area which is most significant for us to identifying that this is a road. So for example, when I'm trying to tell that to identify a road or a specific game pattern, let's say in tic-tac-toe, there are some neurons that are more active and more connected with each other. And this is the overall learning process. How it happens is, if one neuron gets connected with the other neuron, that its importance increases. So what it means is, for example, we always want to look, for example, when we are driving on the road. So for example, when we sit in a car, the brain itself adjusts to the driving pattern, itself. So some neurons shift in form, or maybe they don't shift at all. They are already in the form of connecting the most important neurons in our visions to identify that we are driving safely. And that would be the center road, watching the lines, and maybe some small area where we watch for maybe that animals, if an animal appears in this region of our eye sensors, then the brain will start alerting that there's an animal, take action. So some also less important areas, main areas and less important areas, and some areas don't mean anything, like for example the sky. No great danger about the sky. So these neurons can become passive in the work of identifying our safe driving, let's say like this. And so the overall complexity of the neural network is really, really tough. And the learning process itself is really tough. So how does the learning happen is that, for example, you give the AI, let's say, a photograph of a road, and you give him the output that this is a road. And the neural network tries to find some kind of a colorations to identify that this is a road. For example, you give him the road, and then you give him millions and others pictures of different roads, and then you give him million others pictures where there are completely no roads inside the image. And when going through this learning process, the artificial intelligence adjusts this connection intensity, also known as weights, with each of the other neuron. Let's say, like I said, the most important thing is in the middle, in the middle, like identifying a road, and less is on the outside. That is maybe not so important. So when learning, the AI knows the result, and in the learning process, what happens is that each of these, let's say, inputs that are these tic-tac-toe fields is like a pixel enlightened with some number from 0 to 1, for example. That would be the best way, or the simplest way, from 0 to 1. Let's say 1 would identify that there is a white, something white there, and 0 would identify that there is something black over there in that pixel where you see on the left or on the right or in the middle of the region. So the neuron gets, if it's a 1, the neuron gets fully enlightened. It gets fully loaded up with a 1. But if it's something in the middle, it's 0.5 and etc. So, and when this pixel is compared with each other of the pixels, the million pixels which are there in your vision, it compares the next closest ones. And if the next closest one is also really large to 1, it brings a weighted link. That importance of identifying whether it's a white line, we have to have some kind of a neurons, like a line like this, or a line like this, or a dashed line, dotted line like this. We have to have a pattern which is like this, like this, like this, like this, and then he knows which of the neurons we must link together, which are the neurons to identify this. So, and then what happens is that one of the neurons get a link, a weight, they call it, the weight, which connects the other and sums up a particular area of the vision with another number, let's say, summing up like 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, and then 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, would identify that in this region there is something really white there. It could be a line. Now, and if multiple regions in a particular formation appear in the neural network, that the next layer, there are multiple layers, the next neuron layer identifies, so to have a specific line pattern, yellow or white line, there has to be this neuron group active and this group of neuron active. They have to be active to identify that this is a line. So, and what happens then is it also gets, the next neuron groups gets triggered that, yeah, these patterns by 50 or 70% match a pattern that is a line. Of course, you can confuse it that maybe looking at the white tree, we have white trees here, can also be identified as a line, but trees have different patterns and they move like this sometimes. So also movement patterns. But anyway, the overall idea is that the neural network knows the output. We expect it to be 100% line. Going through all many road lines and roads and walkways and everything, going through many of them, like many of them. Some neurons have found a pattern. Some neurons have found a pattern that gets enlightened, that gets some importance when it sees that. And because you have told him that this is a line in all those images, or a road in all those images, he adjusted the weights and the neuron connections so that whatever you input an image with variables, like from 0 to 1, it, through all these mathematical links of neurons, it brings out that most likely we are driving on a road. Most likely in summer, because the trees are green, most likely we're driving with a speed like this. And it has learned so many things with computers, with GPU accelerations, with TensorFlow, all these acceleration units that Google and the AI computers have, it has learned so many patterns. That's what happens when you drive a Tesla car, if you have one with autopilot. It constantly learns from your movements, and it constantly uploads it to the server, all this data, and it constantly gets a better and better driver throughout all different places. But the thing is, it requires a really tough and a really strong computing power, like a data center, maybe more. It's huge data centers, because the learning process itself is slow. It's not fast, it's slow. And therefore, so many computers use GPUs, graphics cards, graphics accelerators to just accelerate this process of learning, to become better, to become more complex and more better. So, and how can this affect our future if we talk about, and how is it affecting us now? Most simply, the AIs have maybe developed 20, maybe 12 human characteristic that listens to meditation music. They have maybe 30, 50, 100 patterns. They follow some 50 major unique patterns that are close to each other. So, and the system has know these patterns, and they know for each pattern maybe you need different types of ads shown on the YouTube or on Google or on any other website or Facebook, whatever. And they know you by the characteristics, what you are doing, what type of comments you write, what type of likes you hit, what type of videos you watch, what type of music you listen. They analyze music, whether it's a rock music, whether it's a soft music or meditative music. They analyze this and give you the most relevant patterns that you may want, that are most relevant to you. Analyze your nature and then give you the most relevant naturistic music or ads or information that you want to have. So this is maybe the most simplest way that the neural networks, the artificial intelligence, can easily understand you, who you are, what you do, and they can identify your image, your face, and identify from all of the Facebooks and all of the passports that we have pictured who you are. It can identify who you actually are. So the AIs can work really nice with such a thing. And I think especially when we are using Google Maps to drive somewhere, I think your mobile phone doesn't actually calculate the road. It's been sent to a huge server, and the huge server tries to, as fast as he can, find out the shortest road for you to get to that area, keeping in mind traffic jams, keeping in mind traffic lights, keeping in mind all those possible roads that we can go. It's like the same as the neural networks. One road leads to another, connects to another, and each road has a specific driving speed. Each road has a specific traffic jam, maybe this fixes roadworks, and it understands, he knows the situation, and it can easily understand to get you to the easiest point, like this. It just has to understand the connections with one intersection through another intersection. And when it does that, it can easily find you the shortest way to get there. And therefore you need not only to study, but to learn, you also need real life data, and this is really important for the overall neural network itself. And then maybe by average of traffic jams, by average of speeds, and by average of driving activities in specific hours, if you ask this Google how can I get there and how much time it will take me to get there to my destination, it can bring up some characteristics of overall thousands of times that people wanted to get to that destination, the road layout, what is the most beneficial, and also keeping in mind that maybe there are traffic jams and everything that can slow down this road and give you a nice shorter detour. So there is maybe a one main channel that you can drive to there, and if some, let's say, ifs happen there, or maybe traffic jams or whatever, then you can get a detour, like a detour, maybe other most popular traffic that people have taken to get to that destination. So in overall, how can neural networks affect our life in the future, in the really close future, maybe even now, today, and from today beginning, is that maybe give you everything you need, maybe suggest to you everything that you need, maybe analyze, suggest, calculate how we can save energy, how we can cure, let's say, some diseases, how we can help nature, how we can analyze the overall nature of nature itself, like weathers, like how the rivers flow, how the birds live, and etc. And find out some kind of a linkages to what we as humans do not know and do not see it clearly, and even would not be able to analyze this. But these AI algorithms can do that. But I'm not sure there are like algorithms that can learn by themselves, giving like, let's say, a specific score on each success. But most likely, like we children, when we were young and everything, we are being taught like, this is image of horse, this is a horse. This is image of car, this is a car. This is image of a house, this is a house. And the human itself brings out those patterns, identifies them and stores them somewhere here. So yeah, so what I think, it's like people say, it can lead to both sides, and that's what it always is. It's going to both sides. It can be used in really, really it can be used, overheat the charger. It can be used in a really, really positive way. It can be used. Wait, I need to disconnect. I bought an electric scooter and I'm driving around like crazy. It can be used also in many, many ways that we would consider it to be beneficial for us. So yeah, and also like how we can use it to be beneficial for us is, or for humans, is we don't actually need a government structure at all. If you have an AI, and what these AIs basically do, they bring balance. They bring balance to everything. Let's say even the same driving, the learning mechanisms, like the Tesla autopilot cars have. They bring balance to the driving. So the autopilot has learned a lot of, let's say, accidents, learn a lot how to keep on the track, have learned many things a lot. And when you're driving an autopilot, it drives really smooth, really nicely, accelerates, brakes really nicely. So it brings balance. Nobody drives like this. Nobody drives fast forward, fast backwards, and do flips. Well, maybe I do that sometimes, but it has found a balance. The balance of the nature, the balance of the overall universe itself, trying to find the balance. Humans, from my perspective, have the nature to be and to get completely out of balance. Humans have the nature to one day start killing each other, the next day start loving each other. One day to start running to the shops, buying everything, the next day sitting at home and not doing anything. So, in my opinion, human is one of the rare species who is never satisfied of the things what's going on. Maybe it's artificial, maybe it's thought up, maybe it's been taught to us for whatever reason it may be. But mostly humans are not the ones that find balance, that have balance. Animals, trees, flowers, nearly everything has a balance of life and acceptance about life. Humans does not. They tend to always figure out something new. They always are unsatisfied with something. They always want to seek something more. They always want to be something more. They always want to. The mind is not calm. It always wants to take another step forward. So what these AIs can actually give to humanity is that if they bring up to be, and I think they will become to be really high success in many fields, like medicine, like I don't know, predicting some biological whatever, saving human time by, let's say, driving, saving human time to work as maybe cashiers, and then if no cashiers are there, then maybe we don't need to have actually payments at all. And they can so quickly adapt and so quickly help humans in many fields, from what to wear, what to like, what to sing, what to learn, what to do, how to pay, how to drive, how to work better, everything. They can be in so much, let's say, help to humans. But eventually what they will do, they will bring in balance. That's what I think. That AIs can only bring in balance. So imagine life like this, going up and down, up and down. People are panicking, going to the stores because of the coronavirus, then selling everything, then going back, and etc. and etc. That the AI comes to a conclusion that we don't need to run everywhere. We don't need to run. We don't need to do. We just need to take a little bit step forward and a little step backwards. The AI conclusion will be a much smoother line, And when a next panic happens or what, the AI could also, okay, this is how it is. Don't worry. But I know what to do. Because I know so many times that it has happened before. And the majority, I think, no banks, no bankings, no cashiers in shops, no drivers. The overall structure of the, let's say, law itself will be more converted to AI sophisticated formats. Would be that, like, we make contracts, we make agreements, we make some kind of signatures and everything. It will be more significated for the AI algorithms itself, meaning that if a user has signed an agreement, then here is in this row there is a 1. If a user has, let's say, a family, then here is a 0, 1 as well, like kids. I mean, if a worker is employed, then here is a 0, 1. If not employed, then 0. And bring in so many details. Let's say, if he has been in prison, if he has had speed tickets, if he has had, and etc., education, his income, whatever. And then when you give a case, for example, that the user has crashed a car and maybe driven over several people or did a robbery, you bring him the set of information, like some pictures maybe, you give him the set of information, and the AI will learn from it and give you a most beneficial outcome, a decision that is based on data, let's say, from millions and millions of cases. Not like some attorney who gets paid and just makes a decision because he was paid to. So this is also another thing, that AI can bring balance and forgiveness, or let's say a more precise prediction of making decisions even on things like law, like governmental institutions. So in my opinion, the sooner the society, like you, me, and everybody else, starts making their own AI systems that are, let's say, decentralized and have their own way of finding balance between relationship with each another human, like let's say the money system, the work system, and everything, like the governmental system, the educational system, everything. As soon as AI comes into this, let's say outsourced, human society-made AI taps into this field, I think we will have so many improvements. Reduction of corruption, reduction of unknown money flows, reduction of keeping always reduced medicine quality, and etc. and etc. etc. Because if you make an AI that governs all this and has, let's say, many data, and humans have the ability to vote, to like go to it and to vote, let's say, I don't want this, I want this. For example, the AI asks to you, are you satisfied with this decision, or is the life satisfying you? You say no, and the AI asks, in what field do you want to have more satisfaction? Maybe a comfortable life, maybe more friendship in your life, maybe a better home, or maybe, I don't know, whatever else it can be. Some qualities, and you just click on them, and the AI studies everything about you, studies everything about the surrounding people you have, and just gives decisions or changes the way a little change to the system for you to be beneficial, for you to be more beneficial, for everybody to be more beneficial. It will understand easily the cause and effect, like meaning the beginning of a thing and what was the end result of the thing we made change. So I think the AIs overall can be a really positive thing for humanity, but there is a huge opposite of this. It's because, as the Pleiadians also in the channeling were telling, that no technology is made to slave humans. All technology is here to help and assist humans. So if whatever technology is used against humans, it's a technology that the humans themselves are controlling. Like, imagine guns and I don't know, maybe media, maybe governments and everything, anything of that nature. So my conclusion is that also some egoistic and some maybe people with power that think they need a little bit more power can use this technology to, let's say, even more enslave. But I think there is always a balance. There's always a balance in life. There's always a balance of everything. If something gets really suppressed and held in the darkness for a long time, it slowly gets back into light and starts getting upper and upper again to a more beneficial or more satisfying, let's say, place or position, let's say, or style of life, whatever it may be. And if something is so blissful, so joyful, then it gets back lower and lower, keeping the balance. And this is the yin-yang, ever eternal balance of the universe. And this is how the things are actually made. So how the universe itself is actually made. So there is always a balance. There is always a balance between everything, and there always will be balance between everything. So the only thing what the AI can give is talking about decades and maybe talking about centuries. The AI can give a balance in, let's say, talking about large scale. It can bring balance in a smaller scale, not in all until the end of time, but in a smaller scale. It can reduce the panic type of human aggressive type, nature type living in society and bring it to a little more balanced. And the thing is, balance, what I mean, is that it will not put people into a shape or a form, like everybody will be in a prison-like box. No. The universe itself, or the consciousness, the cosmic consciousness itself, or the society, the energy of the society itself is going somewhere. Is going maybe to a more blissful, more harmonious, more nature-like, loving-like people. The trend, the direction of the society is going somewhere. And what the AI is doing and what the AI can give in such a futuristic way of I'm describing right now is that the AI can, if we were to go up, let's say to a positive future, we would go without the AI, we would go something like this, up and down, but eventually it's a slower moving upwards. slowly moving upwards trend, let's say, meaning that slowly moving upwards in a comfortable way with AIs. Without the AIs, it can be slowly moving upwards in a more like panical way, with maybe some distractions, or maybe some out of balance. Maybe some people will get really, really poor. Maybe some will get really, really rich. Maybe some accidents. Maybe some catastrophes. Who knows? Like something out of balance, completely out of balance. So yeah, so the AI can put things into balance, but still the universe will keep its own direction of where it is going, And this is what I stunned from the Enrico channeling, the information that they given about the balance of the universe is that it's never to be tricked. The balance of the universe is never to be changed. It's never to be cheated. It's never to be guided. It's always the balance between the good and the negative in all fields. They call it karma sometimes because whatever you do to a person can happen to you, and this is the way of universe giving balance. Whatever the sea waves go up, they will always go down. Whatever you throw something upwards, it will eventually fall downwards, giving a balance of movement. And even in such a silly way is that how many turns you would turn left, the same many turns you would turn right in your life, whether you go to work or outside or even to your kitchen. It's funny, it's always a balance between the left and the right side, the upper or the downer side. It's always a balance with the polarities. It's always a balance. So the same as when I'm driving fast, and sometimes I will driving slow. The same. It can be anywhere. It's not like it can be anywhere. It exists anywhere, in all places it exists. You just have an eye to see it. So the overall universe is made out of this balance mechanism, and therefore the AIs cannot affect it. They cannot change it, but they can bring us closer to the balance. They can bring people closer to the balance. Of course, some people will be fearful and doubtful, and some people would be joyful and happy. That's what it always is. And even in elections, when people are electing somebody, like let's say a president, if a normal election, a normal statistical election in a huge society, let's say hundreds of millions of people, if they would be voting for two people, the result would be nearly 50-50, close to 50-50, maybe some small percent change, and that's it. That's how it should be, and that's how it is. That's how it should be, and that's how it always. The amount of male and female living on this planet is also really close, and should be really close to 50-50 to keep a balance. So yeah, this is my overall conclusion about the AIs, and then I come to a next conclusion about meditation, and next conclusion about mind, human mind. That human mind is always trying to jasper or to send the mind sends the person working, calculating, thinking, doing something in whatever field it may be, in whatever area it may be, in whatever direction it may be. And as soon as a human finds his own balance, is center between the ups and downs, a center between doing and not doing, a center between being and not being, a center between I am, between I am not, a center balance, focus between all the ideas that are positive against all the ideas that are negative in our lives. All the things I should do and all the things I shouldn't do. All the things that must be and then should not be. If the human can find his inner state balance, his meditative state, his focus state, he can become that bliss, that inner balance, let's say, from everything arises, from where everything arises. And this is something what I imagine myself. There are people, let's say, let's not like talk about heavens, but in the center of it all. And there are people that are fighting for something good, let's say, fighting for the world, peace, fighting for a better ecology in our life, fighting for something really, really good in our life. And then there are people fighting and doing something really, really bad to society, to our lives, or for each us individually. It doesn't matter in what way, in what field, but there are these opposite type of people, let's say, that are aggressive to whatever, and they are always going like in yang, this image going up and down, up and down. One changes position to be fighting about world peace, the other changes his position to fight about ecological world, green world. One finds, and then he just changes the position no matter what is happening, but they are fighting for, against, or at somebody, or arguing at least. And they're out of this balance. They're either on the top edge of the wave or in the top bottom of the wave, in whatever format or whatever type of the way it may be. But then there is these people that meditate like Buddha, like somebody in the total bliss state, and he says simply, I'm out of this game. I'm out. There is no good, there is no bad. There will be always equal parts of each. There is nothing I need to do, and there is nothing I should not do. There is always a balance of each. And you would say, yeah, but this was the idea. And then he would say, I am that I am in the state in which I am, without any judgment whether this state is blissful, whether state is not blissful, whether this state is good or bad, or whether this state is horrible and I should avoid it. There's no judgment to this state. It is a state of, let's say, eternal presence or in eternal balance of this state. And these people, I bet 100 times, that are highly blissful and highly happy people, they understand the balance of life, that nature takes care of the nature itself, that everything goes by the rules of the nature. And the more this balance we bring to the society, the more problems we cause to the society. The more panic we create, the more problems we create, the more the things we tend to do based on our ego, the more actually we disrupt and destroy and bring a balance in a different direction. And then when the balance happens in a different direction, for example, people start cutting down trees and everything in the nature turns, heats up and global warming and etc. Then so the universe has no choice but to create a mass energy that we need to take care of the nature. And then so many opposite things start to arise in the society to keep the balance, to keep the existing balance. But if in the beginning we were in ourselves in the center of the balance, in the center of our focus, calmness, meditative state, whatever the opposite of that is, if we were to be in the beginning in this state, we would not cause the out of balance that is caused today. Still, the universe, the life, the earth is going in its slowly upper direction. Whether it's something like this, up and down, whether it's something like this, but still it's going upwards. But if we were to be in humans would have more balance, like let's say, for example, the AIs or consciousness self or understandings of ourselves are more balanced and, let's say, more with wisdom, we would go the same direction, but a little less choppier, more smoother, more comfortable, more balanced, more pleasurable. So this is my like conclusion about, or experience about, or understanding about the neural networks, the AI systems, and everything. And what I think is, we've been there, we've done so many things. I think it's time for us to become more of ourselves, that's what we truly are. More of ourselves, that's what we truly are. Balanced, focused, joyful, and just allow this nature, this overall huge galactical artificial intelligence to carry out our lives in the best possible ways that it can, because it's already doing it. It's already doing it. So whether we have a smaller AIs here in our society, or we just start following one huge AI, the huge cosmical consciousness. Some want to call it God, some want to call higher consciousness, higher self, some greater, some higher, something that's always there and telling you what to do, and it's always there and guiding your way what to do, and giving you balance and giving you harmonious ways how you can get to your decisions where you want to go. So trusting it, I think, would be the most closest thing to having a balanced and harmonious, unharmonious lives to us as well. So anyway, thank you for listening. If you have any questions, oh God, I don't see any questions. Normally there are some people that just tell, oh, hi, but I don't see any comments. Well, anyway, no comments then. So anyway, really thank you for listening, and enjoy your time. And if you have any questions by the end of this video, you just write it on the comments, and I will do a next video about those things in English. So anyway, thank you for listening. Enjoy your time. Have a beautiful day or night, depending on which country and world side you are. And I'll be going home and enjoying this absolute presence at this moment that is. Bye.